Hey everyone, it's Minty, and today we're diving shell first into the world of turtles. I'll be sketching some cute turtles first and then using that to inspire my character design. So grab your sketchbook, get comfy, and let's bring this idea to life. I'm not the type to draw things from reference that often, even though I know I should, but I just love designing characters so much that I always tend to skip the boring parts. I found some turtles on Pinterest and I can tell they're judging me already. It has been way too long since I sat down to draw and my pencil lines are a little too shaky for my liking. Don't look too carefully or you'll see me chicken scratching all over the page, which if you don't know, it's when you keep going back over the same line instead of doing it in one confident stroke, if that makes sense, and it's not really the best thing to be doing. That's why I decided to draw the turtles out first as a bit of a warm-up, and I'm glad I did because I never actually realised the amount of detail that they had. As soon as I had finished sketching them all out, I darkened up the lines a bit to make the wobbly lines more confident, and I think they all turned out pretty cute, so I decided to skip out on the colouring and the line art so I could jump straight into the main event. As I said, I haven't drawn traditionally in a while, but I remember in my old videos I used to sketch off camera because the angle that I was filming at would always mess it up. This time I'm showing you the whole process, so if any of you are interested in how I sketch out the body and add the details like the eyes, the face, the hair, then feel free to watch closely because I think this is the most detail I've ever done it in, although I can't remember. I did use a reference for the pose as well, even though this is the least dynamic pose ever, but hey, at least I didn't hide the hands behind her back. Don't lie, we've all done it before. I think this might be a good time to share a little something with you on the theme of turtles. I actually made this over the past couple of days. It's a clay turtle and isn't it just so cute and tiny? I used air dry clay even though it was all dry. I managed to salvage some of it and obviously I made this. I painted it with acrylic paint and then I glazed it several times with Mod Podge. I'm planning on giving this to a friend as a gift, but I've just ordered some more clay and now I want to make a bunch of these little guys and maybe even sell them, so let me know if you'd be interested in that. I definitely should have recorded the process, but honestly I did not think it was going to turn out this good. Should we get back to the drawing now? Once I had sketched out a sort of base for this girl, I realised I had no idea what she was going to wear or how her hair would be styled or anything, so I made a quick plan which is pretty measly, but once I had a rough idea I just went straight into it. And spoiler, I did not even stick to the plan, but at least it got me going in the right direction. There were two main inspirations for the fashion design. Number one, obviously the turtle shell, it's definitely the main attraction, and number two, the pattern on the turtle skin. None of them in the references had the exact same pattern, but it was a reoccurring theme, so I made sure to include it in both the design of the dress and actually on her skin. You can see more of that manifest once we actually get to colouring though. I really focused on the shape of the shell and that's what you can see here on the skirt. The vision was there and it does turn out pretty cool in the end, but I'm not gonna lie, it kind of looks like she's literally wearing turtle shells instead of being inspired by them. And I promise that was not my intention. I do not condone harm of turtles, hashtag save the turtles, but if you just ignore that, the design itself is pretty cool. I wanted to give her some curly or wavy hair because it just feels so beachy, like she's just gone for a swim with her turtle friends and let her hair dry freely in the wind. How poetic. Now it's time for colouring! Can't forget to add my protection behind the paper to catch any leaks because I am going heavy on the markers today, like lots of layering and lots of blending. I just want to take a moment to appreciate the colour of her eyes because wow, I just love it so much, but I think it's not as noticeable later on when I've coloured everything. I had a lot of trouble colouring her skin. I wanted something golden and tan, but as much as I love Ohuhu, there's no perfect marker for that. I think a lot of them are really orange and it just looks unrealistic, not like my art style is realistic, but you know what I mean. So I started off light and then I added layers to kind of build up the colour. I also added freckles on each layer to reflect the spotty pattern that a lot of turtles have on their skin. The freckles also help to cover up some of the terrible blending. I think adding so many layers of different colours just made it really muddy, so having those freckles there helped everything to blend together and look a little more natural. I also wanted to add more elements of the turtle's pattern through her makeup, so I added some brown square shaped makeup on her eyelids, but from far away I think it can get a bit confusing and just look like she has really chunky eyelashes. That was not the goal, but close up it's a bit more obvious what I meant. I completely forgot to add in the close-up footage of the sketch, so here it is. I don't think my iPad camera really does it justice, but now you can see all the smaller details and just appreciate those flowy lines before they all disappear. Line art just never hits the same as the sketch. Comment down below if you agree because I think a lot of artists have this problem. The hair was a spontaneous decision and I went with two split colours, blonde and brown. This combo feels so familiar. I feel like I've drawn a character with similar hair before, but if I haven't, I'd definitely do it again because it is so satisfying to look at and fun to colour. I went with pearls for her jewellery around her neck and some sort of bangle things on her wrists. I think the pearls are fitting because they do come from the ocean, although I have no clue if that's in the same part that turtles live in. Also, I do know that there are many types of turtles. I did have a look at the different types before I started drawing, but I think the green sea turtle is the classic one. It's like the one that you see in Finding Nemo, and they're just too cute. I had to draw them. I gave her 2 pink flowers in her hair. Not sure what these are called, but I've seen them pictured with turtles a lot on Pinterest. Although, if you're an artist or just a Pinterest user, you've probably noticed the amount of AI on that app now is crazy. Like, it's hard to tell if I'm looking at something real or not, and it's kind of off-putting. And since I haven't drawn for a while, it's been a while since I've looked at references, so it was kind of a shock when I came back and saw that I couldn't find stuff as good as I used to. Finally, I finished up her hair and her face so we can focus in on the fashion, starting with the bracelets, which I kind of messed up. I got a bit too messy because they're so small. I went out of the lines of the sketch, but line art can fix anything, so I guess that's fine. I added the spotty sort of pattern onto her dress, but I think I should have kept it to a minimum. I definitely like to go overboard when it comes to adding detail, and that's something that I want to work on while I get back into art. I love spending ages on the details. It is so fun, but sometimes I wish I could just whip up a character design a bit quicker, have more expression and use more fun poses instead of worrying about the little things. Even after taking a long break, I still have my colouring skills and the skills of adding cool details and rendering the hair, but the actual sketching and drawing could do with some work. That's just my opinion, of course, but if you guys have any tips for me, that would be so appreciated, and it could definitely help other artists in the comments as well. Something I've been thinking about is my art style. This drawing is very in line with my style, but it has been a while since I've drawn properly, and I was thinking to myself, if I had been drawing this whole time, like every day, what would my style look like now? And I guess I'll never know, but for all I know, it could be completely different, and I'd love to explore that now that I have the time. And for those of you sitting there wondering this whole time, why did you not draw for so long? The answer is school and exams. Yes, it's so boring, but everything got so chaotic in the past year, although if I kept on top of it properly, I bet I could have kept drawing. But obviously that's in the past, and now I have a whole summer ahead of me, a whole summer of art, and as much as I want to improve in that time and get more content out, I'm literally just so excited to pick up my favourite hobby again and create a bunch of new things. Some of you might be thinking, okay Minty, that's nice, but what is going on with this drawing? And my bad guys, I got a little sidetracked, but colouring this shell pattern on the dress was actually very tricky, and I used so many different colours to get the vibe I was looking for. Loads of browns, loads of greens, all blended together, and I had to be so quick to make sure that the layers didn't dry before I was finished. That's why I have all my pens laid out around the edge for easy and quick access. Underneath the shell pattern, the material is meant to be see-through with a greenish tint to it, and I think I communicated that well, although I wonder how anyone would actually make a dress like this. I think this idea won't be hitting the runway anytime soon. I love how when you see it all close up, it's a bit messy, but I think it works well. The design is a bit goofy as well, but one thing I think I did good with was the colours. I used so many different markers, but managed to make it all stay on theme and look cohesive. You thought we were done? No, this page is still looking empty. For some reason, I was in the mood to go the extra mile or couple of steps, just to fill in the page for aesthetic purposes. I wasn't too bothered for much more drawing because I think I'd been sat down for hours at this point. I didn't want to colour in the turtles, so instead I made them stand out with green circle backgrounds, so now they're not as faded into the white as they were before. I used a couple of washi tape pieces and a post-it note for a pop of colour, although none of these were very sticky, so I had to do a couple of adjustments. Also, please excuse my messy hands. I think I show them at the end, but they are absolutely covered in Ohuhu ink, mainly my left hand, which is weird, but I think that might be from taking all the lids off. Another thing, now that my pens aren't scattered around the border, my drawing looks super saturated, and I think the white background has thrown off the exposure or the brightness or something. I don't know, I'm not a photographer. I came up with a name for this girl. Her name is Shalonia. I don't actually know how to pronounce it, but I found it out by doing a bit of research about turtles. I can't remember what it means. Wait, let me look it up. Oh, okay, would you listen to this? Shalonia primarily refers to the scientific order of turtles and tortoises. Isn't that a coinky dink? But I actually thought it sounded like a really nice name and it fits, so that's what I'm going with. I think I showed my terrible marked up hands for a little too long there, so let's roll the clip of the final product. Here she is with her turtle friends. It's so nice to finally do a proper drawing on paper, not just a sketch but the full shebang, and who doesn't love filling up a whole page with little doodles? I'm actually close to the end of this sketchbook, which is crazy, but for the wrong reasons. I ripped out so many pages when I didn't like the drawings, which I know I shouldn't do. I don't recommend doing it, but I did it. Does that mean there's a sketchbook tour incoming? We will see about that. There's no promises, but there's definitely some videos headed your way this summer, and I'm so excited to get on it. Thank you everyone so much for watching this video, and let me know your video ideas in the comments. And if you drew along with me, let me know what you drew and how it turned out.